What is going on, Lucid fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So Lucid's had its fair shares of red flags over the last little bit, some of which I did address in many of my videos because I always like to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. I also like to address a lot of the FUD, and there was a recent video that did come out by Electric Viking, I believe is his name, where he is saying that the 34,000 in pre-orders are actually fake. So I'm going to go over the video and what I feel is accurate and what is very much fake and fabricated. So again, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe, always greatly appreciated. And with that, let's get right to it. So when it comes down to his video, just first and foremost, when he does say in the title, analyst says Lucid blah, 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 there is no analyst. I've listened to his whole video and he doesn't actually refer to any analyst. So let me know in the comments below if you know, is he the analyst? Is he just someone bigger than I am interpreting? I don't know. It doesn't make sense. So first, that is the big red flag that someone is saying that an analyst is stating something when in reality they're not. So once again, addressing some of the FUD, but his whole fundamental basis around all of this is because of this. So Lucid did recently launch the ready to deliver section on their website. This point I actually did bring up in some of my videos because me personally as well, I do see this as a red flag. Some of you though do like that aspect because it does help customers who aren't so picky about the finite details of the actual vehicle, and they can take possession of the vehicle that they ideally want so much faster. So it does help Lucid, does help customers in the grand scheme of things, but from an investor standpoint, this is what drew me to a little bit more of a red flag. So initially, I saw that there was 10 Air Grand Tourings. It did actually drop down to 9, so it did show that there was one sale, which again is a very positive thing. As of right now, though, there is 12. So as far as how many they have in their actual inventory that they do intend on putting on this website, I don't think anyone knows at this stage in the game, but most likely all of these are cancellations. I did actually address that and say that they were all cancellations. A lot of you in the comments disagreed. But I'm going to go over why that is a little bit more of a systemic problem afterwards about the whole ordering process. So I'm going to touch on that in a little bit. But when it comes down to the Air Grand Touring, I think this does go to show and prove that there is no demand for the Air Grand Touring. Even more so about this, when he does talk on the 34,000 reservations, he's saying, well, it doesn't make sense that they're doing this actual website ready to deliver when they have 34,000 reservations. Well, clearly, he does not follow Lucid. Majority of those reservations are for the peers. So anyone that does know Lucid, in fact, realizes that it's night and day difference. The 34,000 isn't for the Air in general, it's for a specific trim. So again, you just need to factor all of that into the grand scheme of things, but it is a little bit more concerning that 31,000 people are actually watching or did watch this per se. And so this is how incorrect information and FUD spreads very, very fast. So make sure you guys do your own due diligence at the end of the day. These videos are for entertainment purposes only. But like I said, this in reality was a little bit more of a red flag to me about the Air Grand Touring. Based on Bear's Workshop, there is a ton of vehicles that is lying around there, on which we don't technically know how many of those Air Grand Tourings are destined for Europe or for Saudi Arabia, because unfortunately, Lucid isn't as transparent as we would like. In the Q3 earnings, Peter did bring that up, saying that there's just a lag in overall the delivery and most likely a little bit more of a supply issue with the car haulers, but that's what he's talking about. When I did bring this up in my video, I talked on how he potentially might not be telling the truth, and majority of which are cancellations. So I'm going to address this first. When it comes down to the overall process, in case you guys don't know, you put down your 1,000 deposit and then everything is fine. Eventually you do get a call from a advisor, goes over all the finite details that you need to know. When Lucid is ready to start manufacturing and building your car, then technically they convert it. They go over the whole process. This is where your 1,000 initial deposit gets turned into a non-refundable 1,000 deposit. And so at the end of the day, this is where, in my opinion at least, Lucid is very much at fault, because this whole process is very wrong, because a lot of people could potentially, that don't care about $1,000, could just put $1,000 deposit down and overall get your vehicle built and then just cancel, plain and simple. And again, this is how there would be a ton of vehicles lying around, which aka based on Bear's Workshop, there is. So it's one of those situations that I feel Lucid is very flawed in their overall ordering process. Even more so, I'm going to show you a couple things as well. Typically, like I said, in theory, this is where your deposit gets converted to a non-refundable deposit. But guess what Lucid has been doing? They've actually been refunding this non-refundable deposit. Even more so, I brought up around about 4 individuals that kind of came to me and told me that they canceled orders and various other things, and they still got their actual deposit back. Doesn't make sense. So I know Lucid is very good for customer service. I've really kind of promoted that aspect of them in the past, but when it comes down to them giving a non-refundable deposit and then them being stuck with a ton of vehicles, this isn't good for anyone. This is bad PR and bad from an investor standpoint as well. So at the end of the day, that definitely does need to improve. I get it. Lucid is trying to help its customers. In many cases, probably it was delayed further than what they quoted, so maybe they're just doing it out of generosity. I'm not sure. This is where, once again, Lucid needs to kind of step up and speak on it. Over and above that, though, there's a lot of people out there as well that potentially got canceled or various other things like I mentioned, and they're being given the old pricing for the Grand Tourings. So once again, it's more of a liquidation kind of scenario right now because they have too much supply. Once again, the Air Grand Touring absolutely shows that there is no demand for that or higher level products. So the Sapphire and Air Grand Touring probably won't amount to much in Lucid's kind of a future per se. As I've mentioned, the market wants a lower price vehicle. Peter's latest interview, he does acknowledge saying that the market wants a lower price vehicle and that they need to focus on that. And by attaining in that whole process, they're going to get that lower price mid-size SUV by mid-decade. So it's all a kind of process for them, but they do acknowledge that the lower price vehicle is where they're going to be more so transitioning. So like I said, I personally feel that the whole ordering process from Lucid's standpoint needs to change. Based on this actual video though, the 34,000, clearly he just doesn't know what he's talking about. I do, like I said, agree with him about this aspect, about the ready to deliver, but again, I could be wrong. I'm not a financial advisor or anything. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. I'm actually going to be playing out his video. It is roughly about 9-10 minutes or so, just so you guys can listen in case you guys haven't actually already, because in here he does talk on and goes into depth about this this whole aspect coming from his point of view. And keep in mind, when I did listen to his video, clearly he doesn't follow Lucid all the time. He does give it praise as far as it being a very beautiful, very well performing vehicle as well. Just he talks on the demand, and plain and simple isn't there for the Air Grand Touring. So the way I see it, coming from an investor who looks at Lucid absolutely every day, it goes to show that even an outsider is seeing that there isn't much demand for the vehicles. Like I said, let me know your thoughts on that. So without further ado, I am going to play his video and then we can get right to it.
Lucid Motors. They make a pretty damn impressive electric car. Some of you have been emailing me saying, why are you not making more videos about Lucid? Well, this is why. The story for Lucid Motors is not a good one. Yes, they definitely make an impressive electric car, no question about it. But it's expensive. And their pre-orders, well, there's big problems with their pre-orders, put it that way. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. My name's Sam Evans, and I'm coming to you from Melbourne in Australia. No, not California, where Lucid Motors are based, but fortunately, due to the internet, you don't need to be in California to work out what's going on with this company. And you know what? It's not Nikola levels of fraud, but it's sketchy. I'm telling you now, I just reported on some of the problems in their electric cars, which, to be honest, to be fair, I mean, you know, startups are going to have this. They're going to have teething problems with software and with engineering and, you know, with their product. That's understandable. However, they have been very critical of Tesla, or at least the founder has been very critical of Tesla. And so maybe they're being a little bit hypocritical here and throwing shade, throwing rocks in glass houses, as they say. Now, Lucid say they had more than 37,000 pre-orders at the beginning of the third quarter of this year. In other words, at the halfway point of the year, they said they had more than 34,000 pre-orders. Well, at the end of the quarter, they said they only had 34,000 pre-orders. So they're saying that their pre-orders went from 37,000 down to 34,000. So you'd think, right, well, therefore they must have delivered 3,000 cars because their pre-orders declined by 3,000, but they didn't. They delivered 2,282 vehicles. That means pre-orders fell away. Now, that pre-order book was valued at $3.5 billion. It's now dropped to $3.2 billion. So, do they really have 34,000 people waiting to buy an electric car that sells at an average of around 110,000 US dollars? Well, you know what? People reported back in March of this year that Lucid's pre-order book was sketchy. They claimed that the orders, in fact, a very large percentage of those reservations weren't actually placed by the general public, but by shareholders and by staff working at the company. Now, what are the key challenges here with knowing whether or not these orders are legit or not is that they're fully refundable. Because every one of them is fully refundable, the company could just do what other brands of car manufacturers have done around the world recently, and that is make them up. They simply fabricate them out of thin air. Are Lucid doing this? Well, they could be. Because, like I said, numbers have gone down this month. So it appears as though at least 800 people have cancelled their orders, and Lucid haven't received a single additional order in addition to that over the last 3 months. Is that possible? Well, I guess so, but that doesn't seem like positive news for the company, especially considering they've got new products available now and they're ramping production. It is a bit alarming when you think about the fact that they also have inventory stock sitting around. What do I mean by that? Well, I thought they had 34,000 pre-orders, you say, Electric Viking. Yeah, that's what I said. 34,000 pre-orders was 37,000, but somehow you can order one and get it straight away. Now, that doesn't add up, in my opinion. Lucid actually launched a new page on its website promising the most convenient way to put a Lucid Air in your garage. The Available Now page skips the custom ordering process in favor of a number of pre-configured Air sedans, which are in stock. According to the page, they're ready for delivery immediately. Now, this seems a bit weird when you think there's 34,000, well, there was 37,000, now 34,000 people waiting for the car. None of them want one of these available vehicles. Just doesn't seem likely to me. It's possible, but doesn't seem likely. Lucid has been making waves all over the place. It recently launched the Lucid Air Grand Touring and the Air Pure. It hit Texas with a lawsuit over its dealership laws, and it lost $670 million during the third quarter while it works to meet production and delivery targets for the year. Lucid's luxury sedan is called the Lucid Air, and it comes in Pure, Touring, Grand Touring, and Dream editions. The Pure edition starts at 90,000 US dollars, has a range of over 400 miles, and the top tier Dream edition starts at 150,000 US dollars and has 520 miles of range, which is pretty impressive. Lucid has delivered a total of 2,562 vehicles since they started production in September of last year. So, what's that, 14 months, and they've produced 2,562 vehicles. They have an order backlog of 37,000, or did, and now they have a bunch of stock sitting in the showroom you can pre-order right now. Now, Lucid initially planned to ship 20,000 vehicles this year alone, but they've reduced that target to 14,000 initially. Then again, they reduced it to 12,000 recently. However, they've now halved their estimate to 6,000 to 7,000 vehicles. So we're looking at an original figure of 20,000. In fact, it was originally 25,000. Now it's gone down to 6,000 to 7,000. But the thing is, right, first 3 quarters of this year, and they're at 2,562. They're going to have to significantly, massively ramp production over the final quarter of the year to hit 3,500 vehicles in that quarter minimum, just to hit the 6,000 low range of their target for the year now. So right now, you can click on the Available Now page on their website. And if you do, you'll be taken to a section that says they have 9 different Air Grand Touring examples, each priced at 154,000 US dollars. but with varying options and color schemes. Now, the page says, welcome to the most convenient way to put Lucid Air in your driveway, configured with our customers' favorite options. These selections are ideal for those who are ready to realize the dream of driving the Lucid Air right now. The page says, instead of a buy button, an inquire button resides next to a link about incentives. What we don't know is where these cars come from or what the process looks like for those who do inquire on one. Lucid might be making extra new cars with preset configuration specifically for its own inventory. That's a bit strange, but it's possible. That could make the buying process easier and faster for those who aren't super picky about specific options. So personally, I'm confused. How is it that Lucid have so many thousands of reservations, 34,000, and yet none of those 34,000 people want any of these particular models that are currently in their inventory? It just seems unlikely. You might be saying, but they're high price. They are a high price, but all Lucid cars are a high price. What's the big difference between paying $120,000 for an EV versus paying $150,000? Is it really that much different for someone who's going to spend that much money on a car? I'm not convinced that it is. Now, Lucid's future, what does it hold? Well, it holds some significant challenges.
Okay, so going over some of the points that he did mention, I guess to note, first and foremost, he does refer to back in March, supposedly people, non-analysts, people did say that the 34, I guess at the time, 37,000 in reservations are just fabricated. He does talk on how other companies have been doing that, just pumping up their reservation numbers. I'm not privy to that. I didn't know or hear of any company doing that. So if you guys know of a company that did get caught doing that, let me know in the comments below. I don't see Lucid doing that by any means. But like I said, the only thing I tentatively agree with him about is this aspect of ready to deliver and it just being and showing a little bit more of an issue. So once again, let me know your thoughts on the overall video. And I know there's a lot of FUD being spread about Lucid, but you guys always need to do your own due diligence, plain and simple. A lot of people, unfortunately, are probably going to be listening to this and selling because of it. But even the way he spoke, he clearly doesn't understand Lucid. He doesn't follow it on a daily basis as you and I do, and we're diehard fans. And like I said, I like to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. Take no misinterpretation of me showing you this video or me just bringing up red flags. That is just plain and simple, just not right. I always like to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. Coming from a good long-term investor, you have to be able to acknowledge red flags and capitalize on dips. If you still see fundamentally nothing changing with Lucid based on your original due diligence, then yes, keep on buying. As I've always said, Lucid is a long-term investment. Consider 2022 a learning experience as well. And actually, now that I kind of speak out loud, he does actually even say 25,000 was the original forecast for Lucid, which is also another very much inaccurate kind of statement. Let me know as well your thoughts on Lucid giving back that 1,000 non-refundable deposit. I find that a little bit more of a concerning. This is actually on Lucid owners, the forum right there. But like I said, roughly about 5 individuals did reach out to me and talk on how they canceled. Lucid tried to reach out to them to kind of obtain that, but they did in fact get the full 1,000 deposit given back to them. And I don't personally feel that is right in the grand scheme of things. But again, who am I to judge? Let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments below. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciated. If you do like my channel, want to support the growth, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. With that said, I appreciate you guys watching. Let's all make a lot of money on Lucid.